And I came here because today is a very important day, the 101st birth anniversary of the great man P.V. Narasimha. And he was such a Prime Minister and a great scholar and linguist, and we rarely will get another personality like that. So that is the main reason that I have taken this call in Telangana. But I promise you that we have a chief guest today, our Ajay Mishra Sir. He's also, when we reformed the Telangana utilities, that time an award was given to Telangana right in Gujarat. So it was very surprising that in Surat, Savai, and he has been a lovely person. So I promise you that in November, I'm bringing the NARASIMHA awards, the top Apex awards to this place. So we are working with the chamber also, of course. The president is also here. So we had a great meeting with Bhaskar Disa yesterday, a very positive person. In fact, we appreciated that this is one of the few chambers which in India has a very, very positive approach to everything situation. So thank you to all. So first let me invite Ajay Mishra Sahab to the dais for today. And also the president, Bhaskar Disa, please give them a big hand. May I also have N. Murugesan. We all know Bhaskar Disa is into dairy industry, and I was talking to him that we want to also connect with the dairy industry because there is a connection between the dairy industry and the biogas industry. Murugesan Saab was the former Director General of Central Power Research Institute, and he turned around Central Power Research Institute, and he also made the smart grid standards for the country. So he is probably one of the I would say less known but least celebrated, but this man has set up standards which I think the Europeans will also go with that. His presentations have been extraordinary whenever he made. So give a big hand to N. Murugesan. We all know Bhaskar Disa. Then we will also have our previous Murthy Sahab, my old friend, and who was the General Manager in Alstom and TNT Division, and then later on became the Vice President of Voith Hydro. Voith is the inventors company. It is the inventors of hydroturbines, the company of inventors in Germany. Incidentally, we have a common German thing because I also headed a company. There's a last assignment called MANP&W India. It was Machine and Fabric, Augsburg, Nuremberg, Rudolf Diesel's, the inventor of the diesel engines company. And I headed that company, and there was a sort of a world record, 4,000 megawatt of captive power I did in this country. So this is a record. No, even the Chinese did less than us at the time. But of course, we were burning heavy fuel. And I was talking about putting catalytic converters, sulfur dioxide, NOx reduction, both of them should come. But then it was way off because that revolution did not happen because people wanted to continue running the power plant the same manner. But of course, gas came into picture. So Murthy Sahab and me, he was from the hydro side, and slowly hydro became a very important agenda because I took that over once he, Prasad Sahab and all came in. So this is a wonderful set of people with us today. So without stopping, I would first give a little brief on why I went to this book, because the first book, biography that I wrote was on Atal Bihari Vajpayee Sahab. This was year 2016. Actually 2015, I had a brother who was physically challenged, and I did 3 books with him. One is called India Brandished, Superpowering Brand India. Then there was a second book, this book came in 2003. And this book is a contemporary book with Kalam Saab's India 2020. So Kalam Saab's, in fact, what he wrote as Pura is providing urban amenities in rural area. That is one side of the story. And the progress from there is to go to another idea which was in our book, which is called RELC, which I call as Remote Location of Strategic Infrastructure Industry. The real problem is that people from the villages migrate because all the industry and clustered, they come close to the urban side. So my area was to understand and push this industry into the rural or semi-rural domain. And I started studying the aspect in this, and I found that in Karnataka, a few districts actually were producing all the tomatoes, almost 70% of the tomatoes that India needs. So that tomato, why tomato should be transported? Why not make a puree and a sauce out of it? So this concept was given that time, and now Kisan and all these people have entered there. Similarly, in Maharashtra, this 70% of our onions are made in Nashik and belt around that. So you can process onions and you can value add and come out. So this was my LC concept, starting with rural. But there are many other areas. See, even the space research, even I would say, now people are getting into drones. So agriculture will need drones. So one of the groups is the Rudra group. Unfortunately, the gentleman is not able to come here because his mother is in hospital. So they have just got a rural drone manufacturing company which will monitor the entire farm sector and also give you advanced feedback on what to grow and what not to grow. And also it can give, like this time we had a problem with the wheat when we had to decide when to import and when not to import. The actual ground messages are not coming. So this was the concept over there. RELC would expand further because the land cost is very high when you come close to urban. Even to solar manufacturing. In solar 2009 I started with Shyam Saranji. The first time we gave that report that we can make gigawatt scale was 2009 in Taj Mansingh. That time I was the principal advisor to Dr. Manmohan Singh on climate change. That time we discussed, and now we were saying that the land cost will be very high. So 5 acre to 4 to 5 acre we need minimum, even with the best technology, for per megawatt. So if we go to ground mounted power plants, what happens is even though we build parks and all, we can't. In India it's very difficult compared to China, it is very difficult to acquire this land. So we will get into this land bank thing. So one of the ideas I floated at the time was lease based association. That means the farmer's land should not be taken, it should become a partner in the project. So not much has been done, but at least it has started. Like the Pavagada is the 160 kilometers from Bangalore, is the largest solar park in the country. Of course, Badla, the Rajasthan will become bigger, but at this point it is the largest. It was bigger than the Chinese parks because when Modi Sahab released the 214 megawatt at Gujarat, I was one of the prime guests over there with Pandit Sahab calling me. That was also the largest at the time. It beat the Golmud Park. But of course, in the Ran of Kutch, there are other challenges because the land is highly corrosive. And even if our structures, the small structures that we put in the solar will also corrode. So expansion has not happened, cost goes up, land costs have gone up. But the Pavagada Solar Park is a great example of how you can do without taking the land of the farmer. So these are all also examples which will come under RELC, remote location of strategic infrastructure industry. You must go towards areas and establish projects where we should come. One of the schemes was 2016, I wrote a letter to Prime Minister on pro bono solar. But that scheme has not been taken in the same manner. It is now come as Kusum. My point was 25 gigawatt of plant should be given pro bono one-time investment. It is 1,25,000 crores. So it includes energizing 1,000 megawatt of agricultural pump sets. Actually, it's 800 megawatt, but 1,000 megawatt because they should not use diesel, they should not use electricity. So now people are realizing that is the right way to go. So if these are all done and farmers need not take their money, NABARD and other people can give the investment as a one-time investment. So that will be free. So you cannot give free electricity. You can be pro bono infrastructure. And then they pay a small marginal cost for procuring that power. And then we train their own people. So I am further educating on these so that this can write into all the chief ministers. So these are all examples under one umbrella called RELC. So Pura and RELC is the game forward. So Kalam Sahab was a great genius, he wrote. So that was my book, India Brandished. After that, I wrote a book called Powering in Crisis, which was released by Montek Singh Ahluwalia. And then US Secretary of US Department of Energy, it was 2005, Miles Greenbaum. And that became the power sector book for the country. Because Montek personally told me, as I was waiting for somebody to give us a crisp account of what to do with the power sector. So there was nothing like that, so it came. Then later on with these two books, I thought, now I must go to something bigger, and that's how Atalji's biography came into vogue. So I wrote that in 2016 finally. It was actually done with my brother, probably the last book with him, but I lost him in 2015, December. He was polio impacted on the lower limbs, a great genius himself, probably the young genius who lived a life only gave, took nothing. So losing him was a shock for me, but 2016 October I released this book. It became my first biography. Then we lost another great man last year, was Yogendra Prasad. So this was the biography that I released on Prasad Sahab, my guru in Hydro. Prasad Sahab needs no introduction. He is the builder of the dams, major dams after M. Vishweshwariya's work. This is the M. Vishweshwariya I lived with. He comes from Motihari in Bihar. He's an engineer, electrical engineer. Because my batchmate Shyamal is an electrical engineer. Even our Manoj Dayal is an electrical engineer. And our senior from NIT is also a mechanical engineer. But yes, what I found out, Prasad Sahab was great. That the power came from Bhutan to India is thanks to Prasad Sahab, the first Chukha power. So the king of Bhutan at the time, 78, when he was brought on deputation to NHPC, he said that it could be only done by Yogendra Prasad. And I don't have so much of time to discuss, but there's one gentleman called A.B.A. Ghani Khan Chaudhary. Ye to naam Ajay Mishra sahab ko pata hoga, baki log bhi from the past know. He was a genius of a minister. He was not even a minister when he got 60 crore sanction for the country for getting the Bhutan power to India. Chinese were on our head in the chicken neck, and also ULFA was on our head. And you imagine Prasad Saab went through that corridor. That's the engineers in 1978. And by 80s, we had the Chukha power into India. So that was a revolution. The other blessing I have is we have a note in this book from R.N. Khazanchi, who's got the highest civilian honor of Bhutan. It's called Druk Tukse. So he's also like a blessing for me. He lives in Noida. He's retired now. He built the Puna Sanchu Hydro project, the second project, the 1200 megawatt thing that electricity is coming. In fact, what tariff we pay to Bhutan today, that accounts for 22% of their GDP. So you imagine a fledgling economy, what happens, how it is so important that India continues to build, and what is the potential? It is massive. I was telling on the sides that we know only the Himalayas, or that means the Everest, and the second will Kanchenjunga. Nepal has only got 2 or 3 mountains. But whenever I cross Bhutan, since 2008 I have been going, I'm seeing 18 peaks. All of them glacier melting and running into Bhutan. So this part is something like, I would say, some 45 gigawatt of electricity lying right besides us. And if we have problems because there is very less population, so what happens? If we develop this run of the river and also do some storages, so I'm working very closely with Bhutan, and Nepal also has started now, because a little bit of political issues in Nepal have stopped us. Otherwise, Nepal and Bhutan is sufficient to make India energy surplus in real terms. Although government is now talking energy surplus, they cannot. Because there is a simple thing for common people, I'll explain. You know, what comes in and can go out quickly, it is called plug and play. Only 2 types of power plants have plug and play characteristics. One is hydropower and the other is gas-based power. All other power plants, solar and all, it is infirm power. It comes in the morning. I'm championing solar, but yet I'm telling you there's a limitation. 6 hours, 7 hours. And those who are talking about battery storage, I'm telling you, sir, my phone does not last for 2 days with lithium. Cars are already using the trouble. I told this long ago, EV will not be the way forward. I'm still working. I wrote to ministers that you go to biogas. That means all this agricultural waste, tons and tons of it can be converted to biogas. And this is all India. We will stop importing natural gas by 50%. If 50% of our 6 lakh villages have 7 tons per day plant, these are the revolutions I'm working on. A lot of things are there, but time is less. So today is a day for Narasimha. So let me come to a few things before I ask Mishra Saab to speak on it. Mishra Saab has written the prelude for it. The foreword is written by Murugesan Saab. There's a note from Murthy Saab. So before releasing a few words, it was very difficult to, because there are a few books on Narasimha Rao. So I wanted to steer clear of all those kind of topics. I wanted to talk about what he did for India. So my book is totally focusing on what Rao Saab did for India. It is the most difficult times. It is a parallel. The timing is important. It is a parallel to today's dimension. Iraq had invaded Kuwait that time, and the fuel prices and crude oil prices were already like what it is today, and it was going right out of the roof, and we did not know what to do. On the other side, we barely had 2 weeks worth of export earnings in our hand, and that is the crisis. You can imagine that even the Sri Lanka crisis will look smaller to what Rao Saab faced, and the genius of Rao Saab was, the first thing he did is, what file was waiting, he went to the International Monetary Fund and got Manmohan Singh Saab to become the finance minister. It was a masterstroke. But Manmohan Singh was a little afraid that these are some things are not written in the book, so I'll tell you. So Manmohan Singh was a little worried. He said, Saab, हम तो politician नहीं है, हम क्या करेंगे? That type of thing. He said, आपको नहीं कुछ सोचना है, you just work bookcase to you, brickbats to me. Which Prime Minister will tell this to his finance minister? And this is what Rao Saab did. He ran a minority government and he showed what coalitions are all about. He handled it for the whole 5 years. He changed the record in this country that coalition governments can be powerful, they can transform, they can change the destiny of the country. That is what Rao Saab stood for. And in fact, Atalji ka maine pehle likha book, but Atalji followed. He used to say he's a guru, he's a Chanakya and all that. So basically there was a great bonhomie between the politicians of that time. There were 2 septuagenarians, because Rao Saab, when he became the Prime Minister, he was already retiring. He was not going to be even interested. So he was also in a way, by destiny or by design, divine design, he was to lead us. Right? So it is an honor that on his 101st birthday, I could come here to Telangana and the state we belong to, and then release this book. So with no further words of these, we keep interacting. I wish that we can get the books so that it is going to be aapke paas hai na sir? So let the dais release the book and then we will go ahead with the rest of the function. Hi. Remove the tape bar. This is available. So the tape bar NARASIMHA Sutra. That's the title of the book. Each one will get. So I request SAGA, if you can get the book to all our people here. One book before I start. First, we will have a brief discussion on what Narasimha Rao was for us, for each of these senior people on the dais. May I request Ajay Mishra Sahab to first address. Please give a big hand to him.
Professor Iyer ji, Bhaskar Reddy Sahab, Murugesan ji, Murthy Garu, guests who have come here. First of all, I'd like to thank Professor Iyer ji for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. And today happens to be birth anniversary of our great Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao ji. So it's an apt occasion that this book is being released today in Hyderabad, and thanks to FTCCI for hosting this event very lightly. Some things have been mentioned by Professor Iyer ji about P.V. Narasimha Rao ji. Much has been written about him during last 4 decades. The path-breaking initiatives which were taken to bring the country out of financial crisis, and these steps even today are a landmark. Unfortunately, these steps which were initiated, they have not been brought to the final destination, if I can say. But then, statesmen are like that. Very few find, if I can say, worthy successors to them by chance or by politics. And P.V. Narasimha Rao ji, see, a person who had taken the decision to retire, if at that time, if he is given the opportunity and if he can bring such a change in a very short time, see, I can't say much except appreciate to the fullest. I will only narrate one incident which brings out how he used to be seen and working as a parliamentarian in his local area. Many of you will be knowing he was elected parliamentarian from Warangal area. I had the opportunity to serve in Warangal for 4.5 years, not once in one stroke, but in 3 phases. So naturally, besides the office work, one would meet many of his colleagues from school, college, business, politics, his financiers, his critics also, because it was not that he was elected unopposed every time. There was election, there were his opponents also. So I am privy to many anecdotes relating to P.V. Narasimha Rao ji at the local level, and I can tell very frankly that none of them criticized or spoke in a critical way against P.V. Narasimha Rao, even though they were political opponents. Locally, where they were fighting elections, where his people used to be there, his followers and other party followers used to be there. Even his party supporters and school friends, how he tackled them, I'll put it tackled them, or how he dealt with them when they were facing problems at the local level. One incident, I was collector there. One officer was municipal commissioner there. Road widening was to be done. So naturally, houses and equipments will be removed. Many people will not be happy because any structure on the roadside is costly. So whatever grievances within courts of the people who were adversely affected, short term by this road widening, could not find their grievances settled at the local level. And since many of them knew P.V. Narasimha Rao ji, so they went in a delegation to Delhi. About a dozen of them. And they had known him for the last 50 years. When they went to Delhi, they came to the Prime Minister's residence, not to office, because they were close to him. And when the Prime Minister was coming down the stairs of his house after breakfast, the people were there. Then he talked to them, how have you come, what is it? He must have been briefed why they have come. But the discussion started, how is Warangal, any problems, when did you come, and all that kind of this thing. After 5-10 minutes before they could tell the issue, he requests them that today he's just busy, he has some important meetings, and he will have dinner with them. See, as a Prime Minister, local friends, that was good of him. They were satisfied, and he asked his personal assistant that these people are from my district, I know them, make provision for them to go around Delhi and see whatever places are there. So naturally, they went around in the evening, they met for dinner. So during dinner time, discussion will start, what did you see and all that. So they narrated about Delhi. They'll call Anna or Aya depending upon their relationship. Very good place, wide roads and all that kind of this thing. So the discussion went on the roads, the wide roads, the clean roads in the non-congested streets of Delhi. Especially when the areas which they had travelled for as tourism. So it became very difficult for them how to bring the topic of narrow roads not being widened in Warangal. So ultimately, they came back, as they say, empty-handed. They mentioned it slightly, but the issue was, sidelined, and in a very decent way, without these people even realizing that what they had spoken first and what their ultimate result was during the dinner time. And it came to our notice also. This was in '94. And road widening went ahead, and it was appreciated by many people. The best thing was, I came to know of it later, because I came to Hyderabad and all that. When he came to Hyderabad, after 6 months or 1 year, after '94 elections were over, he called this officer for lunch at his house, which is rare. And besides appreciating whatever was there, he told, you have done a good work, and this is what happened. So it is not that anecdote what I was telling. It was related by P.V. Narasimha Rao himself, and the officer was my wife. So it is it is 100% correct. But a statesman dealing with a local issue where his friends were affected in the short term adversely, how he dealt with it, that is, that gives an inkling to the personality of P.V. Narasimha Rao. The macro decisions, the national decisions, how he dealt with the international issues, they are in the book, rightly so. So with this, I would like to thank Professor Ayerji for giving me this opportunity, and I am confident that this book will definitely lead to some debate in the public sphere, which will contribute to betterment of the society, politics, and the country in particular. Thank you.
Since a few of my batchmates are here and the alumni is here, I want to say my first interaction with Narasimha Rao's or his, I would say, life, anything I knew, was with a man who probably did not complete his engineering in our times, but was my roommate or whatever you call it. Is a man called Ramesh Kempaiah. So all of you will remember, we used to call him Kenya and all that, especially Shamal, and this is very important to tell you. So what happened, his father was, I think, secretary or joint secretary. Kempaiah, Senior Kempaiah was in the Ministry of Water Resources. And he used to come to the college, and I was busy with either studies or sports, the sports maidan, and the third thing was I used to make filter coffee at my, my hostel room. It was the third year I'm talking, when we got our cubicles. So the man who set me up with this gent later on, although I knew him before, was none other than Dr. R.C. Sharma. Dr. R.C. Sharma was our warden, hostel warden. This, Mr. Sahab suniye, bada mazar hai, pehla chapter hi hai. So what happened is, he came and told, ki, you are from Faridabad, because I educated from the APJ school in Faridabad, in Delhi. Although, by Iyer you will say Tamil in Tamil, so we're not even using our title Iyer. It was only Gopal Krishnan, all of you know me, right? So he said, no, why don't you take a call that you take somebody from the south, you are from the north for us, I said, okay sir, I will do that. Then I said, not from Tamil Nadu, I want another state. Then the mate was from Mandya, and this man was from Mandya district, Ramesh and his father was the Minister of Water Resources. So I did not realize, youngster, what do you realize? You still don't know anything about the deep parts of what it is all about. And this gentleman used to come, Senior Kempaiah. I used to book all his, guest houses and all. The son will not take care because there are some issues, and son will run away whenever his father will come. So I will do everything, like I will do for my father also, I will do for him. So he will catch hold of me. And the first thing he will start, he never got my name Gopala Krishna. He will say Ramakrishna. And with Ramakrishna, he started telling me, Ramakrishna, Narasimha is like this. Ramakrishna, Narasimha is a great man. Ramakrishna, Narasimha went here. Ramakrishna, now he's trying to get water treaty settled. So I was hearing all these things as a student, This was literally in the years of 88, 89. He started hearing all these things. After hearing all this, I got some very deep stories, which many of them I can't put in the book, right? But yes, the larger picture that I got out of that was, this man was in love with Narasimha Rao. And he said, he gave me an insight that country's water resources struggle will be taken care of Rao Saab while he is not handling water resource ministry. Because he was the external affairs and later on became Prime Minister in 91 only. But this was when he was the external affairs minister. So one was the water treaty, the Indus water treaty, all this was coming. So most of the time these files at the external affairs ministry, the man who was doing all the work was Kempaiah Saab. I was also invited to his house in Arkepuram. So my first approach to that was basically when I understood Rao Saab was a great man, was through Ramesh Kempaiah's father. So I have written that in the first chapter. So my chapter begins like that. So it's a little bit of storytelling as well, because it is an accidental thing that happened in my life. And I started loving this personality. In 91, we all know what happened. We passed out. I had come to Gujarat and I saw the situation was very bad at a time. And that 91 to 96 was a period which I tell you was also a period of joblessness for engineers. It was a very tough period. People don't realize. I had a great job in Simco Birla Limited, but I fought with my proctor a little bit because I protested. I said, you can't send me to production management. So proctor साहब ने कहा, अभी आप होते थे हमारे proctor हैं, उन्होंने हमें कहा तो कोई इंटरव्यू नहीं अटेंड करेगा तो हम बैन कर देगा तुम्हारा सब इंटरव्यू सब बंद. कोई बात नहीं साहब. Still I have my fate and destiny. But 6 months I struggled to take my first appointment. I was playing football in Gujarat at Vapi. My father called me because he said, it's Faridabad, we had shifted. My father was in packaging industry. He said, tu idhar aaja, you come here. You must try to find. I used to literally walk and come out. It was complete. And in Nehru Place, I tell you, I must have entered so many placement consultants, up and down. We're from a poor middle class family, so no jobs. No jobs for engineers. So don't forget the 91 period, my friends. So this book, and after that, the transformation that happened. I was already in, and I entered, and what I entered, I said, कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, जो मिलेगा उसको पकड़ लेंगे. So I came to Mumbai, and this great man T.K. Modak, he selected me for Jyoti Limited Baroda. I had a smaller assignment, but that was not so good. I went into non-conventional machining processes, did some work, did the first Imtex exhibition. That was a small 3 months thing. But the real one was Jyoti. And what was Jyoti? It was under BFR, Bureau of Industrial Financial Reconstruction. What you see at NCLT today, same thing. When I went there, I saw a few wreckers, means a couple of them there. And Shankar Shukla was still there, our senior. But Shankar was almost left, he had left for ABB. But we were told that this company is dead. And the great man who actually I embraced, because after Modaji sent me there, I met Nanuba Amin. Now this is the gentleman I want to talk about. Nanuba Amin was a doyen of India. My grandfather was trying to enter Jyoti when he was a close friend of Hawk Larsen in those days, 46 to 53. My grandfather worked for L&T and he was a very close friend of Hawk Larsen. And remember, Hawk Larsen did not leave India because my grandfather met him. A.V. Shivaraman. He got his bronze medal from VJTA, but the British could have given him gold, but they ensured that Indians will get only bronze. So my grandfather struggled, and when he joined L&T also, he was angry because he was calm nahi tha. So my grandfather said, you are paying me salary only because I gave you a suggestion not to leave India. So to nahi chalega na. Because so that happened. So that my grandfather was crying when I got this job. I said, Grandpa, why are you crying? He said, you will not understand. I was trying to get into Jyoti, but no chance. Jyoti and Sarabhai were bigger than L&T, or more bigger brands, those days. So I got the opportunity when it was in the BFR. And I'm proud to tell you that we were called the Young Turs by Nanubai. We turned around the company, made it go out of red. It was the first company to come out of BFR. So today in NCLT, what to do? We know. Get your orders, get your business, do frugal work, all that was done. So I got a great baptism by fire over there, at Jyoti. And Nanubai demonstrated solar rooftop in 1947. Can you believe it today? And the birth of Kirloskar Brothers Limited is because of Jyoti Limited. Because Jyoti and Kirloskar were one name. Murugesh will agree with me. It was all the rotating equipment, pumps, motors, generators were Jyoti. It was a great company. There is one equipment which nobody could make even now, and I don't know how they're managing now. It's called the Arno converter. What the Arno converter does in railway is, it picks up the voltage from the pantograph, and about 150 kV, now I think it will be more, and then it converts the single phase into a 3-phase, because then only it can give DC traction. And this equipment was made by a Belgian company. The Belgian company basically stopped making it. So it was one IT engineer, T.R. Mukundam, with whom I worked. I met him many times in R&D, and another man called Palani, who designed the wind generator first in India at Jyoti itself, which was given to Suzlon at the time. These two gentlemen designed and made the Arno converter a success. India is the only country which does not have a thyristor-driven system. It's the Arno converter which drives all this thing. ABB was given order, Crompton was given order, everybody failed. They could not build, only Jyoti was giving 80%. I don't know what is the situation now, but even today I go to railways, they say, OER. So some factories are giving, from that factory is only there, others have tried, but it's not as successful as the Arno converter. It was redesigned. It used to be horizontal. The vertical design was made by Indians. So Make in India has seen. So I'm very proud of what happened. My father was the man who brought packaging into India when people did not know what was packaging. It was the Talwar family. My father had left MSCB after bringing the Koina power into Mumbai, and he went because he saw corruption in government, so he wanted to work in private sector. Went to Faridabad, a small town, and we were brought up there. So the Talwar family brought the first packaging machine, and I think some of them will remember, the biscuit was called milk-made glucose biscuit. The first polyethylene packing was designed by my father. He was challenged by the team of Kawashima, Japan, that this you can't make in India. 10 days Talwars put these people in a hotel. My father said, give me 10 days, wait 10 days, I'll prepare a prototype of this machine. The Kawashima packaging machine was made and built in Faridabad by my father. Can you believe it? So I come up from a family which has done a lot of things. Although probably with my background I have not spoken all these things today, they are hearing. But we had a bloodline of what to invent, to do new things. So that is continuing to think anew, to go forward. So Rao Saab is a motivator because in his time, again the focus came on science and technology. He built the Indira Sagar Dam that we see, which Prasad Saab finally constructed. Its origin is when Veda Patkar, and of course she had to fight because Aranda was required. So fight is okay. Then we had Chipko Andolan, they also came. They all parked at Narmada. Even Baba Amte went there. That we will not allow this project to come that time. Because there was an issue of rehabilitation, resettlement. And we talk about scientific RRR today. Like conduct the hearings in time. Let's know, there should be no further negotiations. The best price that they need, you have to compensate. And you have to give at least the life for 2 generations. So today also I am questioning this hydropower development is the best thing that can happen for the country, provided we handle everything. So it started with P.V. Narasimha Rao sir. He was so patient. And one incident in the book I have written, I'll ask the president to talk. Before that I just narrate one incident. What happened is, he had taken the IMF loan because वो immediately चाहिए था बाहर निकलने के लिए. But then when it came to the Narmada issue, Rao Saab got Vidyacharan Shukla, his water resources minister, to reject the World Bank IMF loan. So look at the complete shift, in the 2 dimensions. One is initially taking it, but when it came, because he said we are a sovereign country, we can't be dictated. And the IMF and World Bank had laid down conditions, and it was a brilliant thing that was done because later on IMF and World Bank understood we can't take India for a ride. And it was Rao Saab's this thing. And imagine, financially the country is coming out, everything is coming back to this thing, but then he has to reject a loan for a developmental project. And then we built it with our own money. So please give a big hand again to Rao Saab what he did. So he was a genius. So people will, Manmohan Singh sir was a great man, but I think without Rao Saab, I think Manmohan Singh would have not achieved what he has done. So in fact, we must remember Rao Saab as the real transformation agent of this country. Every generation today is completely indebted. If this man was not there, I'm telling you, we would be in penury. We are playing with our economy every day and night. But that play was allowed by Rao Saab and Atalji. Both of them, I think. Because Atalji continued what Rao Saab did. He went to 50,000 megawatt hydro initiative. He put it, Prasad was the chairman for that. Yogindra Prasad ji, our Guru chairman. So all this, he focused on water, electricity, Bijli Pani Sadak, you say, Roti Kapda Makan, which I say, Bijli Pani Sadak, Roti Kapda Makan, and we added during Rajiv Gandhi's era, digital connectivity. Today, all that we are carrying forward. Because without this, we cannot succeed. So the country has to go forward in the development economics that Rao Saab laid. It is I call it consensually operated political economy, COPE. So we'll cope with it. So I call the Honorable President Bhaskar Saab to say a few words now on Rao Saab.
Welcome to Federation of Telangana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I extend welcome to all of you and also congratulate and compliment Sri Professor Iyer for bringing up this wonderful book on P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu. So anything to do with Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu is a wonderful gesture, because according to us who are in the sector of industry and economy, we see and treat Honorable our past Prime Minister Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu as a milestone for the country. Like, you can just divide this country after independence, pre and post P.V. Narasimha Rao. Because after independence in 1947, for next 50 years or so, we were limping with our activities, though we had wonderful brains like P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu. But we couldn't utilize their wisdom. And fortunately, we got an opportunity in 90s as a godsend, and he has come and entire transformation is taking place. So again, my compliments to Professor Iyer. Again, one more very brilliant and knowledgeable personality. I had a brief interaction yesterday, and I'm amazed to see the kind of a depth of knowledge he has got on various sectors, particularly on economy and on renewable energy, and the kind of a books on hydro energy. And it was like we spent half an hour, but I couldn't feel the time also. The kind of a flow he has got, the kind of a knowledge he has got, and all the books. Fortunately, I got, and many white papers he has produced on economy, how to make it 6 trillion economy, 13 trillion economy. So this is the brains which needs to be channelized and utilized. Unfortunately, our political system or our atmospheres, which are not conducive to bring those wonderful knowledge into the practicality, So we all need to play our part in making this happen. And PV Narasimha Rao is one of the personality. I think all of you must be knowing, PV Narasimha Rao was called Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna is like the wealth of wisdom, like steady wisdom. Wisdom is also so deep, it is unmoved. And I'm fortunate to have some interaction with his family. My father was a president of a medical college in Warangal. So during that time, PV Narasimha Rao was the local politician. There he has become MLA and then he was minister also. So then they both interacted during their college days, and he was president and led some student agitations along with PV Narasimha Rao. So it so happened, just see the knowledge or remembrance. He never met him after the college days. This is in 60s, and in 88 or 87, when he met on some other occasion, he could immediately recognize after 35 years, Mr. Reddy, you are so and so, I know, and immediately connected. And he was convinced about his knowledge during that time. So then he immediately made a director in Ramananda Tirtha. Ramananda Tirtha is in Begumpet, and PV Narasimha Rao, it is Mr. Raman those. So that's the kind of a depth. Another incident I recollect as an entrepreneur, like immediately after college, we did our college in 1985-86. Then as a first generation entrepreneur trying to set up some kind of a industry or factory. So I did my dairy science, so I was trying to enter into that field. Unfortunately, again, this dairy sector was reserved for only the government. And it was a licensed Raj at that time. Before PV, it was licensed Raj. And this 1991 reform has brought all of us, like many thousands of entrepreneurs like us, into limelight. So earlier we were not allowed, and from between 1987 and 90, for 3 years we ran pillar to post to get our activity or our business to register. Since we were not in that barred list, dairy was in barred list. You are not supposed to start any dairy, only governments used to start. Though entrepreneurs are there, though opportunities are there, people need, like at that time, to get a milk packet, people used to stand in a line. That was the situation. So on 1991, overnight all our fates have changed. The moment he has delicensed, the moment opened up the economy, we were the first one to jump, and within next 3-4 years we have converted into 100 crore company. So that was the opportunities created by PV Narasimha Rao. That's why we love him as a personality, though he will not exhibit anything of such kind. And depth of knowledge, you see all the 14 languages he used to talk, speak, and write everything, understand, write poetry in all those languages. So if you say so many non-controversial man, honest to the core, like you just, I think I was just going through IS book, the last page, it attracted me. Never made money despite holding the post of PM for 5 years, faced difficulties in paying daughter's fees for medical education. This one incident reflects the personality of PV Narasimha Rao, and I really compliment Iyer Garu for bringing up this wonderful book, and hope this will definitely ignite thought in the people and make all of us play our role in the economy and build the ecosystem. And on behalf of FTCCI, once again I extend a warm welcome to you, and anytime you can just be free to join us. And we are more than happy to associate with you and MARKENOMY and your team. I met your wonderful colleagues, and don't hesitate to come and join us at any point of time. We are there in Telangana with open arms, and we can do together any program required. And once again, I compliment you and your team for releasing this book, and on his birth anniversary at Telangana. And one more final incident about, not incident, remembrance about PV Narasimha Rao is this Federation of Telangana Chamber of Commerce, and at that time it was FAPC, Federation of Andhra Pradesh Chamber of Commerce before bifurcation. And P.V. Narasimha Rao in 60s and 70s used to visit this organization many times as a minister and all that. He has got a very close association with Federation of Andhra Pradesh Chamber of Commerce. And after 100 years, standing here and remembering him on his 101st birthday is fortunate to me and my organization. And thanks for giving this opportunity. All the best.
See the simple nugget that he spoke wonderfully. And we are going to work with Reddy Garu as much as we can. Like he said, open arms. I feel we need to work with the regional chambers, and we'll start with the Telangana chamber itself. Because we have decided, I have got a simple representation which I want to share with him. We are also making a plan for $1 trillion economy for Telangana. I'm working on some 10 odd states. The India $13 trillion, the first top 10 states. I'll share with Ajay Mishra sir also. His wisdom also is important for us. So we'll work with Telangana on that because it's a state with $170 billion. So 2021-22 projection is 200 billion. So we need to make 5x. So now I am a believer that you cannot grow in an organic manner. That means we say national growth rate 8%, average growth rate has been that. We have not seen double-digit growth, very less we have seen. So, but Telangana, I am telling you today, probably other than Maharashtra, Telangana is the only state which has a positive double-digit growth in spite of pandemic. 11.2% is the average growth rate. And in fact, they grew more than that, 13.7% or 13.2%, something like that. They grew in this last year. So this has been cited. What is the reason for this? See, I tell you, and this 13 is nothing. We can go to 15, 16, 17, 18%, provided we don't look at percentage. This has been my theory, and my theory is working in some states. Because I have been watching, see, forget about the management or type of governance. We say whether democracy, India as a democracy, China as a flan. I've never agreed with this. It has nothing to do with this. It has got to do with every time losing an opportunity. 2012 we've lost one. 22 we have lost one. Well, we can say many issues. We can say pandemic, this, that. But more important is where are you putting your money? So if you see the graphics of the 200 billion that Telangana has got, you'll see 61% is services, and that is not a good sign. Whereas the manufacturing and industry contribution is about 21%. Yeah, 21%. And then the 17% is there for agriculture. So I feel somewhere this agriculture is waiting to unleash. Because this is what I've been studying the Haryana thing also. Because everywhere the skewed model is Haryana has too much of industry now and agriculture. So they grew because they were close to NCR, a small state. So I'm watching, because the population of Haryana is about 2 crores or 2.5 crores, just like the Delhi also same population. Telangana has 4 crores. Telangana's potential is very different. How it runs is, I was talking to him on the compressed biogas thing. The man who has actually designed compressed biogas and put up the first plant successfully is my friend Dr. A.V. Rao. He's in the US, he could not come today. He's staying in Hyderabad. But there is no plant in our area which can demonstrate this success. And the 7 tons per day plant with the membrane technology put up by the same company, Spectrum Renewable, has been done at Rohtak. And it is a world-class plant. Not even the Germans are. Of course, the German engineer designed it, but it's a totally indigenously built plant with only one German technology, because after the raw biogas comes, we are putting the Evonik membrane. Evonik is one of my members. Also, they came to us. Once we started talking of this, they came to us. But they cannot do business in this country because they have got we have to bring the membrane cost down. I've told them to make joint venture, deliver membranes in India. So every time something comes, we miss out. Like solar, we made the first report, 100 gigawatt solar by 2022. So all this is organic growth cannot be the part of growth of economy. Because if you look at the organic growth today, we cannot go to 5 trillion even by 2027. If we grow at 11% also, we will not hit 5 trillion. It's arithmetics. Plain up CAGR growth kariye. Starting is today's figure of 2.9 trillion also. If we accept, government says we have come back to 2019 level. If I accept, according to me, it's 2.5, 2.6 trillion. But even if we agree what the government says, put 11% per annum for 5 years, we will not reach this figure by 2027. So it is correctly said, even RBI has said that it will take us 2030. RBI has also made another statement that it may take to come back 15 years from this position. All these kind of things are floating. And there is also a world analysis of 29 and 30. I still believe, forget about our political inclination leaning. I'm talking of what we can do because ultimately it's an India issue. So how do we do? It's an inorganic growth. Not virtually inorganic or physically inorganic. When I say inorganic growth, I'm talking of economic inorganic growth. And I have discovered through this 2 decades of work in the area of energy, environment and sustainability that your waste has to be treated. And it should be made commercially a product which is wealthy, because the farmers in Punjab can't burn parali. The farmers in the sugarcane zone, because we have a lot of sugar, we are the world's largest producer now. And we have to not use, there is a process where we use bagasse and cogen. We should leave this part because it goes to distillery next. After the distillery, what we get is press mud. It is the highest content of biogas. And imagine it's bio-CNG, and I'm not speaking in there. 12 plants on the ground. I worked on this white paper with none other than Tarun Kapoor Sir, another great IAS officer. After we worked, see, look, he is now the advisor to the Prime Minister. I have not communicated with him too much after that. But yes, we built this white paper at Petroleum Secretary. So this is now our revolution, another one, other than solar, because solar can only give you 6 hours. Here I can also produce electricity through raw biogas in a decentralized way, as I told you. So I can hybridize solar with this. I'm practical. I don't believe lithium-ion batteries or anything can go forward because 4 countries control the market of lithium. Top is Australia 50%, next one is Chile, the third one is Argentina, and about 11% is this, China. Then there are small countries like Bolivia and all, which is also controlled by China. Bolivia totally gone into the hands of Chinese. So the material, I have a theory that unless India goes to raw material control, it will never become a leader. And it starts with my industry. When we make transformers, we are importing 99% of the CRGO, cold grain steel, we are still importing. So we go to silicon in photovoltaics, we are not making silicon raw material. We are only processing and then becoming module makers and all that. So this is again a challenge because all the 3 zones of making cells, making wafers is not coming. So I feel Telangana has got that workforce, it has got the ability to go forward in various these areas. We have penned down, we're coming up with a full report, like we did with Maharashtra. We are working on a 2 trillion model by, I made presentation at the highest level. Unfortunately, right now the environment is not for discussing this, but we are there in the zone. Same way for UP, I have my own model of 2 trillion economy for UP also. So for each state, we are trying to build a model which can work for them, and it goes back to rural. So this pie chart has to change. The contribution of only 17% from rural will have to come up to 20, and that is these areas which I told you, waste processing and converting to energy. Then another development is we are doing circular development. So we have to go out of circular development and we have to go to corridor development. And this corridor is not what we are talking. Gadkari Sahab is seeing one corridor, but I am going to give him another one. Exclusive agro corridor I am talking about. This is going to change the destiny of the country. Exclusive agro corridor. Because now rural has to come up. Urban ka wo ek limit hai. Iske baad urban will not do. Rural has to be brought up into Pura and Relsi models. So I hope we can see this. I want Murugesan Sahab to say a few words because he has written our foreword. And as I told you, this man has also contributed because CPRA, which was a institution which was there for us, was a good institution, but he energized it in his time and made it the top testing agency in the whole of Asia. Murugesan Sahab. So the President Telangana Chamber has to go because he was to go to another function. So thank you, sir, once again, and thank you for hosting us here.
The tea hub inauguration.
I know, tea hub inauguration today. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sri Ajay Kumar ji, Ajay Mishra ji, Professor Iyer, and Bhaskar Reddy ji, and Mr. Murthy ji, and friends. It is my great privilege and honor to be here, not only as a part of initial team, but I used to come to this city quite often, because our laboratory is here in Uppal, a 100-acre campus, which was given during our N.T. Ramaraoji's time, and it has become a wonderful laboratory, and it hosts a very large laboratory in the whole Asia. And my guru, Professor Ramurthy, also hails from Hyderabad, so I feel happy to come over here quite often, wherever possible. And in fact, I came directly from my daughter's place. Friends, actually, many of our friends mentioned about our great Prime Minister, but when I first saw him, we were all very young people, so we neither know economics or other things, politics. But we just know him as a Prime Minister. I can just tell my experience what was happening. In fact, just in 1989 or 90, as soon as we got into a job, we would like to buy a scooter or bike depending on their income. So we are all government employee, so we may not be able to buy a car. But the next thing is to buy a scooter. Or at that time there was not mobile or anything like that. So we would like to have one telephone connection because we were all staying very far away from them. Friends, everybody would have gone through that. But our life was miserable. We had to wait for 1 year to get one telephone connection. Now everybody has their 2 or 3 mobile, and even our children have many things like that. Very horrible life. And of course, as soon as we got married, we need to have one scooter. We cannot go like that. Scooter or bike. Bike was very new. So, friends, I paid premium about 1,000 rupees. Worth about 8,000 rupees of that Bajaj Vespa scooter. But to our surprise, it changed for a revolutionary thing within 3-4 years. It's not that we were seeing all such things for years, but for 3-4 years, that 91 to 95. See, everything was unbundled, computer, these are all, it became very easy. That time, everything was easy. That all, I can easily correlate that what Prime Minister, what that regime could be able to do that time. But now I can see that, now in our own eyes, we are seeing, we are all feeling that Sri Lanka is a heaven, that so many hype was given. But what is happening? Really, the same situation was there in 1991. I can able to see because of this opportunity. We used to read much more about our great, humble Prime Minister. I did not see my own the last 30-40 years when we know something about the political system, people, power, like that. Such a simple person. Now we know that even a corporator, he has worth crores of money. A Prime Minister, the humble thing, and when we read about him, he even makes opposition party as his own member. Example is even Vajpayee himself, or even controversial Subramanian Swamy. So many things, even the bureaucrat bringing bureaucrat like Manmohan Singh, I think he invited Mr. Patel, that time the Reserve Bank governor, but because of various reasons he resigned it. But whatever happened is good. Because of this only it happened like that. So only I can correlate. I am an engineer, so of course we know something about economics. Without that we cannot survive. But thing is that there's such a contradictory things and accommodative nature. Now we are not seeing anything, even 1% of what was existing. People are not talking to any opposition people, or they go to the extent of killing people, cutting throat. That kind of it is not good. But the gentleman demonstrated the people, opposition party, taking to them, make a member. It is wonderful, and this life, very simple life. People may talk so many things, but now I can see that just a corporator has at least 10 to 15 crores without any formal education. Now minister, forget about it. And they go to the extent of 30,000 crore, 40,000 crores. His life is very simple. So we are very fortunate to see him in our life, and also it need to be told to the youngsters that we had this kind of wonderful leaders. Because of them only we are here. Otherwise, we would have been another bigger Sri Lanka. Certainly would have gone. It's the exact similar situation. What was existing 91 IMF conditions, all such things. Now country, even people are predicting that Sri Lanka may not be able to recover even after getting loan. After 10 years, it is gone case. But we got the loan and developed the country and expanded the country. The GDP, oh my goodness, when they were finding around just about 130 million US dollars to 5.3 billion dollars. In 5 years, that made a solid foundation. What we are in India today, airport, that everything is because of a 5 years. It is great. And friends, and I have to thank our Professor Iyer. I am very fond of himself. The reason is that before I met him, I met only his magazine. Such a nicely, because people don't read. Beyond certain level, people will not read. They need only bullet points. His magazine will have lots of pictures, small writing. So when you read the book, you have a feeling that yes, I have read the book. Nothing like that, but everything is have. So friends, the book is also written very nicely. We not beyond 100 page. 100 page also is not 100 page. It may be about 20 page, but every point is there. So friends, I am fortunate, very fortunate. He is such a tall figure. We are all, he is like his grandson, very small. But we had an opportunity, and I thank Professor A.G. I could be able to write, and I will preserve the book for the rest of my life as a testimonial. So friends, we can go on talking about it. But as a law student, so that time we not knowing that what is that like SEBI Act. We are now studying SEBI Act. Had it not been, what would have happened to the whole country? SEBI Act, National Stock Exchange. All such things are wonderful things, and I think people should never forget the 5 years period, 5 very short period with lots of difficulties, coalition government, all such things, but wonderfully done it. I am very thankful once again to Professor Iyerji for giving an opportunity, and to remember, we have to take down to the younger generation. People may not remember what is his contribution, all such things. So thank you very much once again.
One small incident, which I wrote in the book, which is not there anywhere, was, once Rao Sir was a very big fan of Helmut Kohl, then German Chancellor. So when 1991, when he became Prime Minister, he knew him as External Affairs Minister also, and they had become very good friends. So Rao Sir made his first trip to Germany, when he became the Prime Minister. And this is a very important incident, because when he went there, his team, which was actually, there's a stenography team which actually takes the notes of our Prime Minister, and Helmut Kohl's stenographer will take the notes on the German side. Rao Sahib started in German with Helmut Kohl, and the stenographer on the Indian side, she knows English, she does not know what to do. She's looking at, and she was very perplexed what to do now. Rao Sahib is in fluent German going ahead with Helmut Kohl. So the scenario was, the other side, the German lady said, don't worry, I'm taking Prime Minister's note. The word was, I'm taking Prime Minister's note as well, and we'll share it at the end. So this is the brilliance of, and sudden flow, and it's like with the heart it comes out. He had not gone with any planning, nothing. And this was the genius of Rao Sahib. Like, spoke about 14, actually he had 17 plus languages. He knew in the foreign languages, he knew German, French, Spanish, and Arabic, Persian, Latin. So you can imagine his width. And he was not only fluent, he was in written also very strong. He was very strong in written Arabic. He was very strong in written Urdu. He has translated books from Marathi to English. You know, it is like that. And then very few people remember that why I call him South of India's only Prime Minister. When I say South of India, it's not only 4 southern states. It includes my Maharashtra. It includes Goa as well, minimum. You know, so this South of India, the only Prime Minister we gave to the country. So because he became a member of Parliament from Ramtek in Maharashtra, and that entire constituency has literally gone on foot, travelled and given extraordinary speeches in Marathi language. So genius. I tell you, in a life we may master 4 or 5 languages. Here is a gentleman who mastered 17 plus, was sharp and he knew everything. And somebody who has both maths and language, I'm telling you, that is the biggest genius. You can become a scientist and everything, but the biggest genius is a man who's a linguist and then mathematics he knows. So Rao Shah has sharp memory, his mathematics was perfect, figures was good. So these were his important traits which probably youngsters must understand, that learn more languages, don't fight with each other. India gives a great opportunity to learn more languages here itself. So if he learned 11 languages or practiced them, like Hindi, nobody would believe that he could speak good Hindi. And my motivation to be very strong in Hindi was Narasimha Rao sir only. Because I do good written and spoken Hindi. उतनी अच्छी हिंदी बोलता हूँ, जितनी अच्छी मेरी अंग्रेजी होगी, है ना? So you see my speech. My friends and colleagues will say yes, because they've seen me in Haryana. I can speak Haryanvi also. So little bit motivation from Rao sir only. Otherwise, nothing. We South Indians must also go forward and openly embrace. So why we have any problem with learning? Ulta, in North I tell them, भाई एक हमारी दक्षिण की भाषा सीखिए. तो बोलते हैं साहब आप बहुत सही बात कहते हैं. मैंने कहा एक तो सीखिए ना. You know, remember the great Devilal. What happened is when NTR became the big darling of the masses, and he was literally an India leader, it was a showman. That time, to honor NTR, his friend, Devilal made Telugu the second language in Haryana. And it has been a trend. Every year there is one southern language or something which goes. And I believe that the current Chief Minister, I have not met him, but people tell me he knows Tamil. So this will be shocking. So I would only go to meet him to talk to him in Tamil one day. Because Chief Minister Haryana knows Tamil. So that is the only thing on which we should connect. है ना? तो एक दक्षिण की भाषा सीखिए, नहीं तो आप एक ईस्ट की भाषा सीखिए. So this is what I tell in Delhi. तो वो बोलते हैं सर आप सही कहते हैं. मैंने कहा आप हमें मत blame करिए. No, don't superimpose on South any of the languages. Let people learn. Like even in Maharashtra, if they slowly, steadily, the original this thing ki only Marathi and all that, Marathi people are learning now. The new generation is fluent in English, fluent in Hindi. So it's very different. You know, it's more cosmopolitan than what you can imagine. I've been there since 1991. Both Gujarat and Maharashtra, I'm seeing interior you go, there is no linguistic discrimination. Linguistic thing is more urban. It's an urban phenomenon because I think it suits the politics of some people. India is a massive country, it's a great civilization. We must not forget it. And what better way than learn from this kind of a gentleman, you know. So I want Murthy Saab, our Telugu man, to talk deeply because he has written a special note on him. Khazachi Saab yahan nahi hai. He has written a beautiful note on him also in the book, you'll see. Murthy Saab.
Ajay Mishra Garu, Murugeshan Garu, and dear Professor, and all the guests in this room. It's a great thing that on 101st birthday of P. Narasimha Rao Garu, we have released a small book by Professor, which is a condensed book, I'll say. It's not a 200 pages or 300 pages book. It's hardly 50 pages. But it gives the basic concepts what Narasimha Rao has done to this country. This is something very important. I think this will give most of the people to remember. Most of the people, in fact, have forgotten Narasimha Rao. Many people, how many people really remember on his 101st birthday today? I see few tweets on the Twitter today morning, except that many people have not understood what he has stood for, what he has done for the country. See, it's okay. Before I go other side of the concept, in fact, let me tell you what he has done in 1991, how it changed things. See, I joined a multinational company in 85. And that company, after 3 years, was not doing well because of a lot of regulations, controls, everything. So we have a permit to make certain things. so many energy efficient systems, so many numbers. So many energy systems, so many numbers only is there. So that's only we are supposed to produce, nothing else we can do in those days. So the company was not doing well, and 50% of the partnership the foreign company has sold to a Indian partner. So, and they formed a management committee. I was one of the management committee member, 4-member management committee member. So our job is to turn around the company, and we have 2 bosses, one from France, one from India. Not one boss, 2 bosses with equal partnership. Both have 50-50. So it's a time where we are struggling how to go about it. And that's the time when in 91 the reforms have started. And that's the turnaround where that company, this small company of ours, could turn around our company because of these reforms. You see, I'll remember once the reforms are announced, well, we engineers always run around, you see, for the things, this one. So there is an opportunity those days to sign a contract of 4 crores. So I said, let us take this contract. But in a multinational company, you have a lot of checks and balances. So my finance man said, as per the approval being given by the government, you cannot take this order, because you have only approval for this and you cannot go and take this order. Then I have to challenge him. What is this liberalization has come in, and the government has delicensed everything. So I have a power to do whatever I want to do. Then there was a lot of discussion happens. Then I was asked, okay, you go to the government and talk to them and get that you can do anything. This is what I am trying to tell you is, the reforms have moved very fast down the line to the bureaucracy. That's what I want to share in this one. Ajay Mishra Sahab hai stage mein. I was to go and meet the joint secretary who was responsible for our type of industry there, joint secretary in the industry ministry. I got an appointment within 2 days, and when I went to him and I could present him my 1-page note, what I wanted to do, what was our problem. He said, Mr. Murthy, you are from the same state of the Prime Minister, and he has liberalized everything. You do whatever you want to do in business. You don't need any permit. Now it is fully liberalized. We can do any type of business you would like to have, and you don't need any approval. That's what changed the whole of India at that time. And many companies have come out of their hibernation and their problems, and within 2 years that company we have turned around with this, what happened in the liberalization. This is one of the major things which I wanted to share with you. That's one thing always I remember about this great man. You have turned the India totally around. You have a small telecommunication and some IT revolutions happened during Rajiv Gandhi time, 86. And after 91 is the time when computers have come in. And that's where things have moved. And that's greatness belongs to only one person, and he is our Telugu Bidda. That's what I would like to share. Another thing is, he is known for his linguistic personality, 17 plus languages. And many people, I don't know how many people really know. There is in Telugu, we have a very famous Viswanatha Shastri's Veyi Padagalu is very well known novel. It's known in Telugu, hook and crook, everybody has read that novel. And it has got Sahitya Academy Award. And that novel is P.V. Narasimha Rao who has translated into Hindi. It's called Sahasra Fad. And that Hindi translation also got a lot of famous in that circuit. And then it has come as a Doordarshan serial. Veyi Padagalu has come as a Doordarshan serial in this one, where they have acknowledged it has been translated to Hindi by P.V. Narasimha Rao. This is something, I don't know how many people really know it. This is one of the major things which I wanted to share it also. And it's great. You see, many things, this gentleman is very, because I was in Delhi and I was in a lot of our Andhra associations I was associated with. So I had an opportunity to meet him also sometimes in one of our functions or going to invite him to come our functions. So he is a very jovial person. When he cracks jokes, I think they are totally different type of jokes. He will crack also another. When he sees Telugu people in Delhi, he used to talk very, very freely to us, and it was wonderful to be associated with him. This Narasimha Sutra by Professor is very concept. It talks to the point. It's very readable book. It's not 100 pages or 200 pages books. It talks exactly what Narasimha has done during his period and how he has brought the whole thing out of it. And major thing what one should realize is, as everybody told earlier also, the support he has given to Dr. Manmohan Singh. See, it's one area getting, as he said actually, all bouquets to you and brickbats to me. That's something, a statement which a Prime Minister giving and not taking credit for all these, whatever he has done. He has put in Manmohan Singh in the front. And all the credit he has given to Manmohan Singh, if you see everywhere. But behind it, it is the P.V. Narasimha Rao who has done everything. That everybody knows it. And this is one of the major things a politician of his stature doing is something very different. And that's what I appreciated him as a Prime Minister. And of course, maybe we, from the younger stages, maybe we being this one, we know about P.V. Narasimha Rao as one of the famous people. And another thing I would also share, he is also shared earlier. See, water resources, energy. This is the issues where many people do not know the contribution of P.V. Narasimha Rao. Because I would like to share these things because when I was working in hydro and earlier things and T&D sections, we used to have in Delhi there is a separate group of people where you meet, you know many things which are normally not in the public domain, and many people may not be knowing it. So in one of the major things when we were talking, and it's a project called Tehri Hydroelectric Project, and we were talking on that project. One of the guys said, do you know, Mr. Murthy, this project could not have come but for the person from your state, Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao. There was a big technical and financial proposal has to come from Russia. It was supposed to be funded by Russia. There were a lot of issues on that, and the project was almost getting cancelled position, and it's P.V. Narasimha Rao at that time was ex-Finance Minister, who has brought back this project onto the track and ensured that project completes. And today that Tehri Hydroelectric project has saved in 2013 when the floods happened in the big Himalayas, and that gives water to Delhi today. So this is the things which many people may not be aware of it, but this is what this man has done it. Similarly, on the lot of issues on water resources, he has got a lot of vision, and he has given a lot of his time for these projects without his name coming into the front. That is one of the beauty. He never put his name in the front for what he has done it. But people who are inside, when you get into the inner circle of these particular groups in Delhi, we know who are the people really who has done these projects things. This is something wonderful which I want to share with you. And thanks, Professor, for when I said we should do it in Hyderabad, you agreed for that. And first time I'll say after we are friends for the last 20 years, and we have been doing a lot of functions in Mumbai, Delhi and everywhere. And I think first time we are able to bring in this team of Falcon Media, REPA, MARKENOMY Foundation and NARASIMHA Foundation to Hyderabad and Southern region. And I think we are going to do a lot of functions in future from Hyderabad, Professor.
Sure.
That's what we are looking at it. And that's what we are looking at it for this one. And thanks, Professor, for all these things. And once again, I thank for the opportunity given to me to write a few lines about our own Telugu Bidda, Professor Narasimha Sutras. And thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. Thank you very much.
It will be your responsibility, sir. Please come. You say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. The world changes not with the people just living in this world. There are people, blessed people you call, or distinguished people you call, people with intelligence, whatever you call. One man makes a great difference. Steve Jobs changed the history of telephone. Bill Gates changed the operating systems. When I was in US, I always wonder why people don't born in India. Because if you go to Princeton University, you see Einstein, where he worked as a professor. So all the great men here, why not India? But in India, we do have a lot of heroes. But rather, they are unsung heroes, we call them. There are very good bureaucrats in the country. There are very good politicians in this country. There are noblemen in this country, but seldom recognized because of its maybe upcoming democracy or developing nation and less publicity for us. And I met the PV Narasimha's daughter in Houston, where I remember it's one of the hospitals where Dr. Cooley was first bypass was done by Dr. Cooley in US. So I don't remember the hospital name, but I met her there during my visit there. So these people are very simple, but they are really brainy chap, especially previous one, very brainy chap. And we do have a great another person like N.T. Ramarao. So they're all people, great men born. They do their contribution to the world, whether they're born here, whether they're born in US or Sweden or anywhere in the world. So he changed it, and he was mentioning Veyi Padagaru book. That's what my dad used to tell me. Because I speak French very fluently. He says, not French, you have learned 10 more languages, which is very difficult to learn. Even French, even I speak, and a Frenchman may not understand. Sometimes because the slang, the native slang, dampens the real slang of the language. Sometimes we learn, but getting on its own is very difficult. I speak little Arabic because I have to survive there. I have to go for my hotel, I have to eat. I lived there a couple of years in Egypt, where you don't see much Indians. That too, Honsi Mubarak was down, I was there. So learning the language is not that easy, but still I wonder how he did it. I think he has studied from, if I remember correct, PV studied from Ferguson College, Pune?
Yes.
You know why? We used to take the young boys from there to recruit in our company when I was working for a multinational in Hyderabad. So I used to ask, what is the specialty of Ferguson College, going all the way from Hyderabad to Ferguson College? Then they said, sir, that is a college. Ian White was our CEO in US. He says, you take from there because he has a great regard for, it seems, PV Narasimha. So, see, institutes make, the big change. In the US, in India, what do you say? We meet somebody comes, sir, he is a businessman, he does a, pharma industry owner like that. In US is totally different. What they say is, which college he passed out. He is from Yale University student, he is a Columbia student. So I asked once, I went to a company because I was a guy who was recruiting a couple of guys. So why you want only in Hyderabad? We have a lot of Geetam colleges there, a lot of colleges. Why you all the way only one college we used to take from out of Hyderabad? Hyderabad we used to take one more college. There are two colleges we used to recruit. It's a Japanese company. It seems one of the CEOs who is sitting in the US has a great regard for Ferguson College. That's why still I was always thinking it's a myth, but later on I came to it, it's true. Because he studied in Ferguson College, people have great respect for the college, maybe in abroad. So he's a great soul, and we are happy to be in this country. Reforms, as you rightly said, 1991 big reforms. See, employment generation is any country's first priority, not anything else. Bureaucracy is not now. British Raj is gone now. Now who are the drivers in the society, the people who generate employment. Free society, not wearing a dress and all, I don't say like that. Free economy. People should get opportunities, free and entrepreneurship. That's what 91 opened the floodgates of this country. So that's why we are here, and a lot of multinationals, and we are also, as rightly said, when we passed out, getting a 1,000 rupees job in 86, only opportunities get to the, government services. So we were always thinking to go to army, like this, something, wherever we get government. But somehow we could not, go there. We were in the private sector, multinationals, and now slowly, first is, in this country, they opened the, free licensing now. International, a lot of companies can come and start. That's why our young generations are getting jobs and good salaries. And learning is also important. When you have an interaction with the global companies, a lot of learning, because new like ISB. Last week I was with some of the lectures on ISB. I think this Sunday I was with IIIT. We're doing an initiative on fintech, financial technology, cyber frauds, how to educate the people, masses, because they're small labor. So this all must not happen unless there is a liberalism in this country. Thank you for giving the opportunity. Thank you very much.
See that when he talked about the job, like I entered the college and later on we came, and that difficulty of getting a job, that was exactly there in 1992, as I explained. I know in the fourth, when I was a little fed up with Vapi also, so my dad pushed me off to Mumbai, and look at the fate. The first day I entered Mumbai, my feeling was repulsive, believe me. But the fourth day I fell in love with the city. And the event on the fourth day is extraordinary. I was walking from, it's very important today I'm telling this, I was walking from Kirgaon Chowpatty on foot with the Chandra Saraswati, the great Shankaracharya, he is no more, and the other side was Shaban Azmi. And what was it? It was Sarva Dharma Maitri Yatra. And we did a Padyatra from Girgaon Chowpatty to the Juhu Chowpatty. And I walked the whole distance. And I never knew what was it and who pushed me there. My Chittappa, that means my father's brother, who was who not married, he was a bachelor. He was working for Shankar Matam, he was doing some work. So he said, Gopal, you come, you come to Mumbai, you come to me, we'll work out something. I came, and then I remember how my career moved after 6 months of absolutely no success. 91, because that campus job of Simco Birla, Simco was after me, let me tell you. I said, मैं नहीं आऊँगा, मैं बहुत ज़िद्दी था, ये नहीं करेगा, लिख के दो. You give me written that you will put me into either R&D or send me to marketing, no sales, only marketing. I understood that difference long ago. In fact, many of my batchmates don't know. When I was in the college, I did two things. One was, Dr. Singhal was there. He came and told me, there's an entrepreneurship development course, why don't you join that? Few children were interested. Nobody, so marks milta hai, exam likhega, wahi chahiye. So I went and did that 1 year program silently, and I have an entrepreneurship development certificate program 1 year at that time. We're talking skill development today. EDP I did that time. Working capital first exposure was with single and company. ठीक है, उसी टाइम working capital किसको मालूम है? So that helped me in the first time. So I had the knowledge of working capital because I used to take the class, go to the class on a Sunday. This was one. The other, these are secrets that are coming out now. And I was a very good footballer. They all know I was an athlete. The 5 kilometer, 10 kilometer was my distance. And then barely a runner. In Haryana, there was no runner who could beat me. So I was a frail 56 kilo fellow running. So वो सारा ऐसा था. लोग समझते नहीं थे. हमें कहते थे अरे यार ये they used to the Haryana runners used to think this fellow is a South Indian. या हमारे से कैसे टक्कर लेगा? And I am a idli sambar or whatever you call it. A vegetarian fellow running the show. So motivation has come there only at that time. So it's very, I still remember my NIT alumnus, and that's why I said great colleges. I'm a hardcore India bred product. There is no foreign degree with me, other than one happened that time, because they had opened this ISO for sales and marketing. So they opened for 2-3 years. So I somehow gave that examination and got an ISO in sales and marketing. And then they stopped because they were scared, because we can teach in any university in the world. So they were scared that all these Indians will come, so they blocked us. So US, we have to question this US a lot. It was Certified Marketing Services International. Under the Geneva Convention, it is called under the RVA. It is this certification is given. Around 160 Indians are there. Only 16 Indians were left in India. Rest of them are overseas. And the distinguished Indians in this is one is Uday Salunke, who runs the Wellinger Institute of Management in Mumbai. The other fellow is me. I have not met a third guy here after that. Out of the 160 people who got. So that is the only foreign certification I have taken. Otherwise, all my stuff, post-graduation, everything is from India only. And I can assure you that we are no less than any Harvard, Stanford. In fact, we could be better than them. I have interacted. I openly tell them, I got this great management guru, Richard Davini. He is considered to be the 7th best strategic management expert ever in the world. He has written a book called Hyper Competition. Few universities teach this. I was the youngest professor of IB. So I went into the research. So this is my favorite book, Hyper Competition. If you read the trade theories of Adam Smith and go forward to comparative advantage of David Ricardo and come to competitive advantage, Michael Porter and all that. Porter, I consider he misled the world. Okay? The last one is comparative. There is nothing called competitive advantage. In this world, there is only a comparative advantage. So we have been diverted by the Porterian model of four-nation theory, five forces theory and all that. But today we have to learn from our own, and 2 days back, one of our greatest gurus, we lost him, very close to me. The first lifetime achievement in Inertia Awards was given to him was Dr. V. Krishnamurthy. I don't know how many of us know here. Dr. V. I interacted with so many times. He used to love me. He had that time got Padma Shri, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan, तीनों हो गया था उनका. मैं पहुंचा, लोग कहते हैं अरे अयर साहब आप लॉन्च कर रहे हैं मैगजीन, स्टार्टिंग मैगजीन, पहले ही आप इनको लाइफ टाइम में. मैंने कहा नहीं, हम तो कोशिश करेगा. तो at YB Chaman Auditorium we had given that award. Sardar Sarovar got the award as the best hydro project. So Larry साहब भी आए थे, PK Larry, all of them came because nobody was recognized at the time. Nobody knew energy sector में क्या करना है. So इनका lifetime achievement, and you know what he said when I went there? He said, "Ayer sahab, that all award is old now." He told me in Tamil. In Tamil he said, "Adlam poet." He says, "It is young people like you who come, who recognize, then only we will be known." Dr. V. Krishnamurthy, imagine the founder of BHL, the founding father of Maruti Udyog Limited, turnaround of SAIL, turnaround of GAIL, and he is called the father of public sector. And I am telling you today, what a day. Now, of course, ripe age of 97, he went happily. I talked to his cousin Kanan, who is a close friend, and one of our very close friend, also advertiser. Kanan sahab, I have told him that I will now do, because suddenly these things come, then you have to change the direction also. Other things I was working on, 2-3 more books. So biography of Dr. V. Krishnamurthy will come from me. So that is what I am trying to tell you, and he's a great man, I tell you. Whatever you are seeing, all public sector things and all advantage and manufacturing revolution that we are seeing is come from this man. And again from South, we South people are very silent, bolte nahi hai. So if we come to know a lot of great people, Dr. K. Ravi Kumar, Mishra sahab, from the beginning he has been our chairman for our advisory board in Inertia magazine. And who is he? He is a man who brought the 5 gigawatt capacity of BHL to 20 gigawatt. I knew him when he was a director power. And he is retired as the shortest stint he had as a chairman. Only 1.5 years he had. But you can imagine what he did. All the factories of BHL went from 5 gigawatt to 20 gigawatt. This is transformation. How many people know K. Ravi Kumar ji ne kiya hai? Director power the, ज़्यादा तो director power the. Only 1.5 साल वो, barely 2 years bhi nahi. He was the CMD and he transforms the company to a 20 gigawatt. Otherwise the Chinese would have eaten us raw for breakfast and lunch and dinner ho jata hamara. So thanks to Ravi Kumar, it's happened. So these things, I think in public domain it is not there. So I've been encouraged by my senior Mr. V.M. Bansal also. You have a knack of telling these stories. So you must continue doing this. बाकी तो बड़ा book लिखता है. आपको ये educate the masses on these issues. Don't allow people to forget these great personalities who have done justice to this country and the nation and will continue to do. We'll be motivated by all these people. So this is my take to you, and I tell you the 1 trillion report I'll try to share with everybody who comes. We've identified 8 or 10 areas for each state. So for Telangana, the key thing is they could become the aerospace hub. Telangana has got now a division special in the department where they are promoting aerospace and defense. So this, we also run a defense publication. So I'm deeply into defense tech, not exactly, because all these defense magazines are all armed forces people magazines. So I have been studying fighter aircrafts. In fact, one good thing I tell you, our organization could write letters and change around. The Kaveri engine was dumped actually, it was shelved. So you know the whole thing, right? Abhi aa gaya na wapas. See, I told you that day also on the phone, मेरी बहुत लंबी बात हुई दयाल साहब से, क्योंकि he was in the Air Force, so he was telling me, ये तो यार बड़ा मुश्किल हो गया. They have shelved the project. They said we will not again bring this engine. The Kaveri engine is back. Our fighter aircraft LCA runs on a GE 404 engine. So once you make the engine, 40 to 50% of the cost is the engine part, and it's am I right? The rest of it is all only you making the khoka. So you must go to the heart of the whole process, the fighter aircraft. So now it is revived. And what was the problem with that engine? Nothing. Only the little weight ratio, Basically, only we have to bring down the weight of the whole thing. So India is a very genuine country. But yes, the other thing I want to warn, don't go on the rooftop and say we are greater than everybody, because we must be very careful that we have to still achieve absorption of technology. We have to absorb. See, every time we need not make something new. We are the masters of readjustment. For example, the Enfield Bullet. It is the 1964 or 1965 model of Harley Davidson. So what happened? Enfield Bullet became an Indian company. It was a southern company. That time it was a South Indian company. And the only thing in our college used to happen is, our guys will bring an old bullet, usko leke jayega Saharanpur, and they will fit a petrol engine hata ke diesel engine dalega. Petrol engine will change into diesel engine. और उसको डीजल मोटरसाइकिल चला रहे हैं हमारे यहाँ सारे आदमी. एसडी के साथ भी करते थे सब. They used to do with Java also. I remember. Then what happened? Eicher Motors took it over. That transformation happened. And then Enfield was only in black and that military color. Only two colors in those days I remember. White भी नहीं होता था. Now there are multiple colors, different things, and suddenly Enfield is an India-made brand because they took the 64 version to a different version. And what has happened in our IC engines market for the automotives is, especially in the two-wheelers, is we've done something unique that the world has not done, which is related to the digital fuel injection systems. So what we did, we could not design the bikes too much, other than these boutique designs and that Chabra and all that. They have done all sorts of design. We didn't modify, change and thoda acha banaya, lighter kiya. But what we worked on is fuel consumption. There is nobody in the world who can match our DeFi, digital fuel injection systems. We are the best, most efficient two-wheeler manufacturer in the world. We don't know where is the media covering it, who is talking about it. आप बाइक अभी बनाने में मास्टर हैं, and you are a world leader. The Italians can't beat you. I remember my first assignment was with Escorts, then second was with Calvinator in Faridabad. So Escorts, I had assembled a one Yamaha 350cc on my own. It went to the market, so I was so proud. I did that. वो hand से किया था. बाकी सब everybody was trying to take notes, copy, go in lunchtime. But everybody was angry. तू क्यों बैठता है? तू क्यों करता है? Then they put me into Pirelli. They wanted to bring a moped, and I had the temerity to go and tell my boss, ये moped fail हो जाएगी. He said, यार तू बोल मत, don't speak. तो क्यों fail हो जाएगी मुझे बता. Escorts में है, second year. So this young boy is coming saying moped fail हो जाएगा, ऐसे ही बोलता है. And he said, he grilled me. My boss there, who was taking care, because that project report finally I had to get, and this fellow will actually go against me, I know. But I was not scared. I said, it will sala fail hoga. Because what I did is, I took the Pirelli, took two boys, went to the Neelam flyover there in Faridabad. I put a triple seater, a third person, because our people do all these things. So तीसरा आदमी को बिठा के I went up. It was not going. It was gone. It was finished. The game was over. I said, this will be a failure. He said, why did you say that? I said, sir, हमने ऐसा किया. अरे तुम ये सब किया. मैंने कहा सर क्या? आप इधर टेस्टिंग कर रहे हैं. This testing is no use. Everybody will take this pillion rider, and the second fellow, third fellow will sit on that moped. It is over. Then if they are not able to drive over that bridges, the simple bridge which is nearby, then you are done industry in the market. They rejected Pirelli entry into India. And he said, you saved us. And my report was specially written. This boy is very, very different kind of, they wrote something like that. Not only, they don't write satisfactory, not only, he's very good. So still my project report started, so I didn't take anything in seriously, even in my summer training. In the Calvinator, I went to the compressor plant and I went into hermetic compressors. That's the first time I got to know chlorofluorocarbons. Nobody is discussing. Everything is carbon dioxide emission, climate change. The biggest problem is chlorofluorocarbons, my friend. No discussion in World Economic Forum. No discussion anywhere. Still, We are putting it now in our vehicles. All the Volvos are running. This is the lobby. And the amount of ozone layer depletion still continuing is even more dangerous than CO2 emission. So we as an organization don't compromise and we write about this. So it's not easy because the UN also has they wrote that India is a polluter. I challenged them. From renewable energy promotion, I wrote a letter. I said, while I'm a renewable head, I disagree with India being called a polluter. And that is now the pitch. Because we have only 205 gigawatt of coal-based power plants, my friends. And our total capacity index is 400 gigawatt as on date. China's capacity index is 2000 gigawatt plus. And what they have is 1000 gigawatt of thermal power, coal-based. Imagine what I'm talking. Of course, they save themselves because their renewable traction is as big as that. So that discussion doesn't come in. So the biggest polluter in the world is no more US, it's China. And then come the United States of America. US has got about 350 to 400 gigawatt of thermal power plants. So imagine why India is being stopped to build thermal power plant. Because I'm not a fool. I'm sitting there, Mishra साहब भी बैठे हैं. मैंने साफ चैलेंज किया दिल्ली के अंदर भी. मैंने तरुण कपूर साहब को बोल दिया. मैंने कहा सर हमें 150 gigawatt और हमें थर्मल करनी पड़ेगी. For the simple reason our hydro is lagging back. We have only 46.5 gigawatt hydro, and that is giving maximum traction to the grid. If today I gave economic solutions, because when the grid is running, I told you that we need plug and play, because the peak shaving, the graph goes like that. Base load comes from thermal power, and the rest of the solar and all are also solid state. They are not flexible. They come, they are there, they just add on, they can replace some thermal power, that's it. And nuclear is the only one which can, actually it is nuclear is renewable. In my book I have written, I am the first man in Asia to write that nuclear is renewable. Now they are all accepting. Carbon किधर आता है? Nuclear safety से confuse क्यों कर रहे हैं? So therefore we'll have to develop nuclear power. With what? With thorium based reactors. Thorium is not as radioactive as uranium. Uranium goes to bomb grade, and then we have got a different procedure because thanks to Homi Baba that we go to FBR process. तो ये सब हमको मिक्स करना पड़ेगा. We have to make a mix of renewable energy. We cannot go to just blind way without making a bouquet and we start, because without hydropower you can't operate the grid, and we have 20 gigawatt of gas power plant lying idle, starving because of gas. Nobody is supplying to it, and many of these GVK and all, the Jigrupadu project and all have been just lying dead in spite of the investment. Those businessmen made no mistake. Gas is lying in here, na?
5 gigawatt in this area.
I know. So imagine, and I have been fighting with my ministry ki you at least allow a tender to supply gas to these power plants, because then the plug and play comes in. Then India's power crisis is over. So those who are telling you, whichever fellow is telling you, he may be the biggest minister on the planet, he comes and tells me about surplus power, आपका है ही नहीं. You can't ramp up without adequate capacity. First you have to ramp up the thermal and then the flexible load. So the last point, they are scared today. Grid channels will call me, यार साहब ये ग्रिड की मुसीबत आ जाएंगी चैनल में. That day it's over. मैं बोलता यार तुम तो यार बरसाती मेंढक हो, बुलाओगे फिर चले जाएगा. So that is 220 gigawatt, and now we have come to 230 gigawatt. So we are barely in the league. So we have come to consumption of 210. Highest is 210 now. So they are scared. The gap is only 20. So the day that goes, another grid failure will happen. So this happened when I was talking in Delhi. The biggest grid failure happened at the time, because the southern grid was not connected. Then Sushil Kumar Shinde understood our letters and all went, and he took a fast track decision to connect the southern grid to the rest of India. South was not connected until the year 2013. We did not have. So people say one grid, one nation. One grid, one nation happened after they understood their blunder. Right? उसके बाद हमने क्या किया grid के साथ? We have not strengthened the grid, my friends. I tell you, our grid does not. Tamil Nadu, if it produces extra renewable energy, you don't have offtake capability. Within the interstate transfer also we are not able to do. So these are not being discussed. So it is very sad that the country is not discussing these important issues, economic issues, infrastructure issues, development issues, and we are busy with what we know. So I want that our movement should be, all intellectuals should come together, bring the government to development economics. That is the only tribute we can pay to Narasimha Rao and the great Narasimha Rao, and definitely to Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. So my talk on this day is limited to this. Anybody has any interactive questions or anything, anybody wants to ask, I am here. We can spend some 10 minutes, 15 minutes on this. And I know some of my alumnus, and see, it's very difficult. It's our first entry into Telangana. my alumnus and others have to help me. But next time all the awardees will be here, so it will be a bigger function. So you will see all these big 40 big companies from India, in the various sectors of the power sector. So that's why I want to bring that award function here, so that you understand where we are. And I tell you, South is terrific, because if I take all the southern states and take Maharashtra, forget to Goa, and I'll keep Gujarat away. The four southern states and Maharashtra together, and with a little fledgling economy of Goa, we are almost 50% of the GDP. So do we realize? See, last year Telangana was 10th we made a first ranking of MARKENOMY 2020. Now new ranking is coming. Telangana will be number 6 state. It is not on only GDP. It is also Human Development Index. There are 10 parameters on which we are analyzing these states. Then adoption of renewable energy. Then we have got 10 different parameters on which we give a state a position. So if the state is not working on these issues, then the state is not going to just be built on the GDP model. We need to also do the GNH, gross national happiness. This is the Bhutan's model, but I would say in India we should do gross national harmony and happiness. That is the most important thing for us. Harmony is most important. If any society is in harmony, it performs far superior than it is fighting within itself or it's in conflict with itself. So we have to move to consensus from conflict. So that is the moral of the story. And I got this short time to address a short set of people, but we have all gone online. Everything is social media, people are seeing, and all that is there. So more number of people than what we are sitting is already watching us. So it is Facebook Live. I don't do my events Facebook Live. I've done this one. So thanks for all the support that people gave in the Telangana state, especially the chamber, and Bhaskar Reddy has been very positive. So we are thinking of working together in some way. So it will be the first regional chamber with whom we as a think tank start working in the country, and I would start to extend that model with all others also. So anything, sir, anybody wants to interact, we are here. Any questions, anything? Today was a very important day. My name is Professor A.G. Iyer. I am running several non-profit organizations like MARKENOMY Foundation, and this function is by MARKENOMY Foundation. I am also the president of Renewable Energy Promotion Association. Today, important day because I authored the book on late Sri Narasimha Rao, our Honorable Prime Minister, probably greatest Prime Minister we had, just in same league as Vajpayee ji. I consider these two as our greatest Prime Minister. And this book is called NARASIMHA Sutra. Vajpayee Sah's book, which I wrote first one, is called Atal Shastra. So this is very interesting. So Narasimha Sutra is very important because we must remember this Prime Minister at this juncture when we have a lot of internal conflict within the country. We have a turmoil in the economy. We have a joblessness issues because people are not talking about it. 45 crore people have been removed from the job market. Of 138 crores, 140 crores we have. What it means when 45 crores are done means only 20 crore people have job. And 20 crore people, if you see, can feed only a population of roughly 80 crores. So therefore, we are actually, these arithmetics are very important. So this today, we are in a massive joblessness zone of at least 40-45 crores. People dependent on the economy and having no way to go. So and then the large part of it is demographic dividend, which we call. And if they are not having anything to do, we are waiting to see a demographic disaster. So on a positive side, the only motivation I saw is to release this book in the right time on this day, on the 101st birth anniversary of the great man P.V. Narasimha Rao. And I am so thankful to God that I could achieve it in quick time and come to Telangana, the state where he was born, because undivided Andhra, he was born here, and Laknepalli was his village. At the same time, he was brought up in a different family after 3 years, and then so Rao Saab is a man who has struggled from the bottom, come up in a big way, like people are talking about. He studied in Ferguson College, he also studied in Nagpur. So that's why he was speaking fluent Marathi. And when he won from even another state like Maharashtra, a very difficult state, from Ramtek, and went to parliament, you can imagine what kind of a politician and a popular politician he was. Very few people can achieve that, my friends. So for me, he's like I tell you that if I come out from the morning, I remember only these three names, along with, my brother, my parents. I always pray to Atalji as well as Narasimha Rao. So my prayer is today over, because this prayer will continue in this manner, and I will continue to educate people on why we need the leadership qualities of Rao Saab, and we need to also be more broad-minded, that we need to behave as a single country. We cannot, fellow being to fellow being, we cannot differentiate, neither on religion, nor on caste, nor on creed, nor on community, nothing. Your only humanity is your religion. So the Constitution gives us that challenge. So Rao Saab lived that full life. So we are only following. So I am only a follower, but God gave me the chance to, through fate and destiny, to do this, and this has come out.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friends.